Session 0 for the Roguelike Rumbles Rumbleween Rises. For anyone who has been, ooh, spooky. For anyone that has been watching the Rumbles since Season 1, we have had a Rumbleween every year, and we are keeping the tradition alive, or as it were, undead. Stupid joke. But anyway, so welcome. In this little Session 0, we'll get you introduced to the newest heroes of the Roguelike Rumbles, and then we hope you will feel compelled, perhaps by sorcery, to come out on Thursday, October 10th to cheer for your favorite hero and help them as they move to win the coveted Champions coin, so that they become a heralded hero throughout all of Las Asimas. I'm Lady Destiny, your hostess with mostest, but today I'm going to turn you over to the power and control of the Master of Fate.
Good evening, or whatever time you're watching this. Welcome to Rumbleween. My name is D.W. McCann, and I'm Brady Duskvale of the second Rumbles that happened, who has become the Master of Fate and continues to run the Rumbleween every year. So the first thing, as we're getting around to meeting everybody, this is going to be a 3-player Rumble. So we've got 3 of our people on right now. If you all want to introduce yourselves real quick and say hi to the people watching. Kawika first.
I am Kawika, he, him, and I will be playing Mariposa.
And Ivy?
Hi, I'm Ivy. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing Rhipley.
And Maia?
Hi, I'm Maia. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing Roan of Arc.
Excellent. Now, descriptions will happen in the Session 0, but as most of these start, I need you all to grab that bag of dice near you and roll for initiative. Let me know who's going to be the first to arrive this evening.
Got an 18.
An 18 for Rhipley.
That's going to be an 8.
Roan is taking her time getting to the tavern.
17.
17. Lovely. All right. So that means that you, Rhipley, are the first to arrive. Now, the magically glowing sign marks your destination, the Roguelike Tavern. You head in during the early hours of the day. There's a comforting feeling of every tavern you have ever called home as you look around the room. The regulars are spread about. It's not as crowded as it would be during happy hour, but as you make your way to the bar to ask for either Helgertha or Serlita, the contacts you were told to find, you speak with a slender elf who is currently working the bar and says he will pass on the word, offering you a drink while you wait. Do you order anything?
Yeah, I would actually order whatever the house drink is at the time. She's not a very picky individual, so that's kind of
first, actually, let me give you that shit. How do you enter the room? Give your description of yourself as you enter the room. How do you enter the tavern?
So Rhipley is a very tall woman. As she enters into the tavern, she is actually.
Do you need a duck in the doorway?
Yeah, she does. She's 7 foot tall, so she's got to duck down. She also has to kind of shift her head sideways because she has horns as she's a minotaur. So Rhipley walks in. She is wearing a leather jacket. She is wearing mostly leathers. You can't quite tell if the pants are made of leather too. You assume so. There's a lot of silver jewelry. She is well adorned, a heavy nose ring as she walks in. She has on fingerless gloves. As she enters, kind of this awkward shift. She's trying to enter with the confidence of like a pro wrestler, but it's a little awkward when she has to duck down. It's a little strange as she enters in. Her shoulders are squared back as she kind of struts her way towards the bar, and then she'll order whatever is like the most convenient, whatever the house drink is at the moment. If there's a special, she'll order that.
Matter of fact, there is going to be a special for the evening, and so that is mixed up for you, set in front of you. There are, when somebody of that magnitude and that mass comes in the room, a few of the regulars are a little, but they also are very used to competitors in the Rumbles showing up. So it's not as much a surprise, but there are some that are impressed and maybe making ideas about whether or not they want to support you in the Rumbles.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're enjoying your drink. Now, as you take a sip, you notice a table in the corner. Out of the corner of your eye, it seems to be turned on its side, maybe even broken, which is unusual for this place, always kept in fine shape, both from the owner's abilities as well as any magics you can to keep things nice. But when you turn to look at the table that was broken, it's actually nicely set as normal. It only looked broken out of the corner of your eye. Do you stay at the bar and enjoy your drink? Do you do anything else?
I think I pick up my drink and I make my way towards that table. It's interesting. It's different. Something is strange. I want to know what's happening.
Fair enough. You sit down at the perfectly normal, well-set
normal, well-set table, yes.
All right. Mariposa, you have arrived. Describe your entrance into the tavern.
Mariposa enters the tavern, and he opens the door, strides on in, holding a sacred flame in his hand, which he realizes he's going indoors, so he needs to extinguish it. And he scans over the tavern, a place that he has been searching for a long time, to see if he finds a familiar face, someone that he's looking for. But unfortunately, he cannot find him. So he makes his way over to the bar itself to grab something to satisfy his thirst.
So this is your first time in the roguelike?
Unfortunately, yes. This particular roguelike I have not been in before. Another version, possibly.
So
But
I
not
would say you still have a feeling of whatever your home tavern is, it has that vibe. It has that, like, you are almost, the eyes that look upon you as you walk in have that kind of feeling of like, oh, good, Mariposa's here. Like, it's not quite Norm, but it is that welcoming, like, oh, good. They recognize the champions as they do enter.
Yes. And it's strange because he seems very familiar to other people. Although he is dressed different, there's something about him that just seems like this person has been in the Rumble before. But no, he hasn't been in the Rumble before. He just seems very much like somebody else. He is fairly tall and dressed in chainmail, a large fur-lined cape on his back, and he's wearing a helmet, and he has the feeling of a predator about him. There's something animalistic about him, though he appears human. There's a ferocity behind him, but also a kindness.
Interesting. As you walk toward the bar, you suddenly hear a low growl over your shoulder, almost convinced you feel breath on your neck. But as you turn and spin in the moment, there's nothing there. And it didn't sound humanoid. You're not even sure if it sounded living. More likely something beyond. But then maybe it was just a trick of the mind. Apart from what you've already heard described, there is also a very large minotaur sitting at a table in the corner enjoying a drink. There's also a slender elf still tending to the bar. Do you order anything? Do you talk to anybody? What is your action?
I do. I shall order a drink from the bar. Particular one of the specials, I believe it was something. I remember hearing something about a margarita of destiny. I believe it's a spicy margarita of sorts.
Very popular drink.
Yes. And then I shall attend to the Minotaur and sit down at that table. I just want to ask, did you hear a growl?
Oh, clarify for a quick moment. Did you sit down or did you talk to before sitting down?
Before sitting down.
So before sitting down, this conversation. Excellent.
Yes. I've not sat down. Did you hear a growl just now?
Great question. DM, did I
To let
hear
you
a
know, you
growl
did
as
not.
well?
You did not hear a growl.
Inter- a growl.
Yes.
No.
Is there a bit of a growl to your voice?
So Ripley's voice is a little more smooth, almost seductive to her tone. There is not a hint of a growl in her voice, which is almost
Lovely.
strange considering her outward appearance. But no, it's very silky smooth, actually.
Interesting. Oh, wait. Mariposa,
Ripley, it's nice to meet you.
pleasure. Would you mind if I sat with you?
Did this table look odd to you before you walked over here?
Mariposa takes a step back. No, the table seems normal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to sit. I just figured I'd ask.
Strange. And he sits.
Very well. While you're sitting down, after a bit of time, and you're feeling a bit rushed, Roan, you feel like you've been trying to get here for a while, and you finally found it, and you come in the door. Describe your entrance. Describe what you look like.
So, after having gotten a little bit turned around and lost on the roads, Roan finally reaches the tavern, and she enters the door, horns first as well, as she is a satyr, although she is much more diminutive in size, so she is not having to duck at all. In fact, it's a little bit more like she would like to think she has to duck, but it just looks like she's shrinking in and just coming back up immediately. But she enters, and she's wearing some plate armor around. She's got her great sword at her side, and it's got a little bit more of the hilt is a little more fashioned to look like a microphone a little bit, as she is a more performative paladin. So she strides into the bar, a little out of breath, a little worse for wear, but excited to finally be at the tavern she's heard so much about and to enter this tournament.
Now, there is a sampling of species and personalities about the bar. Not overly packed, as I mentioned before, but it is definitely a variety. And then you see over in the corner two people that don't necessarily... I wouldn't say they don't fit in the room, but they do not seem as comfortable in the room as everybody else does. And there's also the bard, which you were told to check in at the bar with either Serlita or Helgertha. So do you go to the bar? Do you order a drink?
Roan makes a beeline for the bar because she knows that's where she has to check in. And she does order a drink. I'll have whatever red wine you've got.
Lovely. As you're waiting for the red wine to be served to you, in the mirror behind the bar, you swore you could see glowing red eyes, maybe the glint of a wing. You turn to verify and see a well-lit corner of the room, nothing there. Looking back at the mirror, the corner is as it should be, well-lit, free from any creature. But wait, was that a leathery tail you saw out of the corner of your eye in another portion of the mirror? As you turn to look there, a hooded figure is next to you, in the way of whatever you think you saw. You move to the side to see if you could see it, but there's nothing there, or whatever was there is gone. And the hooded figure speaks. Ah, Roan, I'm glad you have arrived. Our other two champions have already met at this table. If you'll come over and join us.
Thank you kindly. She tilts her wine goblet up and follows to the table.
Bringing over to the table, the Master of Fate stands there in a hooded cloak, darkened features, but there is not a concern to this. Somebody maybe would use this look to look creepy or to be imposing, and there's more just a comfort to it. Usually the person you might not see in the corner of a room, but he has broken that by coming forward to you, bringing you over, introduces himself to the table. Brady Duskvale, I will be running your rumbles. We do have your rooms ready for you if you would come downstairs with me. You may bring your drinks.
Roan whispers to Sir Duskvale. Sir Duskvale, you wouldn't happen to know if there's another participant with a tail? I might have seen a tail earlier.
We've had participants with tails. There is none other than those present now that are going to be competing today.
Must have been a trick of the light.
What about another participant, perhaps one who is a were-rabbit? Have you seen him?
Papillon. Yes.
Yes.
Papillon has competed at one of our champions, in fact.
Yes.
Many do try to find him.
Have you seen it? Recently?
Yes. It's been a few months. You trying to get word to him? I can help. I do know sorcerers that could send a message, and possibly, mayhaps he will show up to the Rumble and cheer you on.
Let us hope.
Rhipley, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes. What can I do for you? She's like kind of staring at the table, like waiting for something to happen.
Do you mention anything to Brady or to Roan of the table?
Did the table look regular when you all walked up? Just out of curiosity. It may have been what Mistress Roan here said, a trick of the light, maybe.
Seems sturdy enough to me.
We're approaching that time of year. I will explain more in a bit. Please come with me to your rooms.
I will bring my drink.
He leads you down a staircase into a hallway. It's like a sub-basement just under the building itself, and seems completely like a reasonable floor to have. If those of you who have been to the Rumbles before know that underneath this floor is a much larger arena that does not seem dimensionally like it should fit under this tavern, but it does, and it's known for being in there. But you've been taken to kind of a mid-floor between the two, where there are 4 doors. Everybody roll a perception check.
Dang it.
Is that no?
I'm gonna guess that's gonna be a no for me too.
What'd you get?
I got an 8.
I got a 12.
I was like, I don't have what is it? The proficiency in it. So I was like, oh no, wrong character. But yay, 18.
All right. So Papillon, you are the only one who notices this. As you're headed to your doors, it's again almost in the order that you had arrived. The first door is given to Rhipley. The second door is being offered to Papillon. Before you go in, you notice that the fourth door,
Mariposa,
furthest down the hall. Sorry, Mariposa. You notice further down the hallway that the similarity is just I see what you mean about that feeling like I've known you before. But the fourth door down the hallway seems out of repair, which again is very unlike what you've known from what you've seen. Everything seems to be in good upkeep, but this door is oddly in disrepair, despite nothing around the frame suggesting a reason why this door to be the only thing that has not been kept up.
Sorry, Master Fate. Why is this other door not in use?
Now, for those of you who do look at the door now, at the reference to it, all that look at it will see that it is in disrepair. Yes, it is something that happens on the Rumbleween. where the veil between dimensions tends to fade a bit. Perhaps the efforts to keep the door were not kept since there's not going to be a fourth opponent this time, but I believe that there's more to it than that. I will check that out while each of you go to your rooms. Let me look into this. So do you go in your rooms?
Yeah.
All right. In your rooms, they're well treated. Any of the combatants that come to compete in the Rumbles, there is a display of food laid before you. There are fruit juices and such. Anything of an alcoholic nature should be ordered from the bar, but you have plenty here to entertain you. There's an area to rest. There's an area to get ready, a rack for your weapons or anything that you need. And there is also, as I mentioned, a full display of food that is for you to snack on as needed. Does anybody have any food, do anything like that?
Roan sort of sniffs at the food on the table and just kind of pokes it a little bit.
Smells delicious.
Bottoms up.
I will say there has never even been a rumor of anybody messing with combatants before the Rumbles. There's enough that would be able to identify that somebody had tried something beforehand, you'd get caught. Nobody chances that. It's a great way to get thrown out of the Rumbles, to possibly be banished from the Roguelike Tavern itself. And since you are here in some hopes of the notoriety of the Rumbles, you don't want to be the one that's known to have been banished.
Mariposa is going to take a look around the quarters and wonder whether or not this was the room he used as well. Because he thinks...
You're looking for a little carving? Papillon was here?
Maybe. It's because it's strange being in the same place as him. And he thinks back to what Master Fate said about the veils being torn between universes. And just wonders how much Master Fate knows about Mariposa himself. And that he is also not from this world. And he goes over to the food and finds some sort of meat. Maybe one of the one of these sliders. One of these Stark sliders from the Roguelike Tavern.
Knowing that there's variety of people who come to the Rebels, they do tend to try to find out what your preferences are. But very often there will also be options of such like the sliders, and sometimes even just raw meat in little chunks on the plate on a platter, depending on what somebody might be interested in.
We will try the cooked one first.
As you pick up the slider and you start to put it towards your mouth, the slider suddenly smells off and looks completely and utterly decomposed. And you drop it in surprise of this. But the sandwich that has fallen to the floor is perfectly healthy, in date, no decomposition to it at all.
What sort of trickery is this?
Just about the time you're about to start cleaning up the slider that is now littered on the floor, there's a knock on each of your doors calling you down to the preparation room.
Roan tries to pocket an apple on her way down just for a snack. And then, just a minute! Grabs an apple off the table and heads over.
Sure. You have an apple. Note that on your character sheet, please.
Cool.
Singular apple.
Singular apple.
Rhipley, do you do anything special before you leave the room?
I don't think so. I think that she's excited, and so she's just kind of nervously pacing a little bit before they knock on her door. She jumps a little and then is like, coming.
Mariposa casts Sacred Flame on the sandwich that's on the floor, and then exits.
Sterilization, nice. I like it. Cleans up after yourself.
Thanks.
Had the evidence.
So you're all led down to a room that's at the end of the hallway, and as you walk in, there are racks of every type of weapon. There are components for all sorts of different spells strewn about the outer edge of the room, and in the center of the room is a dummy that is broken and thrashed and almost looks like some of you have been seeing in your visions of something that perhaps has been through something traumatic. But then you see Master Fate is off to the side, waves his hand, and the dummy repairs itself, as this dummy has been thrashed and broken many, many times before. And Brady turns to you and says, "Let us begin with you, Rhipley. Now, as you get ready to demonstrate what you can do, I would remind you that this is not just your chance to begin the intimidation of your opponents, but also, there are those scrying on this room right now. If you impress the right people, you might find yourself aided on the night of the battle. So keep that in mind. You will each get to demonstrate one attack. Now will be a full attack round. So if you have multiple attacks in your attack round, it's one of whatever you want to do. So Rhipley, you were offered first opportunity.
Great. I think Rhipley takes a nice step back. So how large is this room?
The room is probably about, I'd say maybe 30 by 30 by 20. So it's got a high ceiling, about 20 feet high. And if you were to map this out in your mind, the rooms you were in were directly under the tavern. This one seems to have the height of the building itself. So it is going from that basement floor up into the same level. So it's probably behind the tavern.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I think that Rhipley takes a nice step back from this dummy. 15 feet to be exact. And just touches her chest. And then from her erupts almost what you think is a low grumble or a growl, something primal. And she opens her mouth just slightly, and you can see the sparks of lightning in her teeth and in her mouth as, in a 15-foot cone, she blasts a cone of lightning at this dummy. As she uses Dragon's Breath.
Roll to hit.
It actually needs to make a dex save.
Oh, it makes a dex save. It has no dex.
Great.
It's a dummy. It can't dodge.
Yeah. It's gonna take 16 points of damage.
16 points of damage. All right. So describe for us how the lightning seems to cause the dummy to crack and splinter. Give us the description of what it does.
The lightning that emanates from her is this deep purple. It is almost this aura of not quite a thunderstorm, but something unsettling as it emanates from her and hits this dummy square in the chest, as it then creates shatter marks throughout all of its limbs, causing it to almost crumble in its space.
I've seen that technique used on like wooden mugs with the cracking to
Yeah.
it, so I can imagine exactly watching the fractal patterns formed on the dummy as the head falls off.
I think it's at this point you realize that Rhipley is not carrying any weapons. She would have left anything that she has on her, like, just in the room for now until the actual rumble. As she's a sorcerer. She's not a barbarian. She's not anything. She is a sorcerer.
So you've all seen this. Any reactions? Any?
Well, talk about a supernova.
That was unexpected.
What a tall drink of water you are, sugar.
She looks at you, Roan, and she'll give you a wink.
Roan is like flushing.
Charisma is my highest stat.
You see a wave from Brady as the electricity seems to almost undo in the same pattern as it formed. It doesn't create electricity, but all of the marks seem to meld back, pops back on the top. The dummy is as it was before, and he turns to Mariposa.
Mariposa growls, and he's going to... Right. Why did I not put down whether or not it was a thing? I think it's a bonus action. I completely forgot whether or not shifting is a bonus action or not. It's actually not going to do anything to the attack he's going to do. So he is going to shift, and he takes off his cloak, and his limbs begin to grow more muscled, and his hands become claws, and ears come to a more animalistic point, and faint spots appear on his body, and he becomes a were-jaguar. And he approaches the dummy.
Before you make your attack, roll a quick perception.
Nope. Oh, that's going to be a 7.
Then never mind. Continue your attack.
So he approaches slowly to the dummy. And he touches his shield. And touches the dummy. And he's going to use Inflict Wounds on the dummy.
All right. That would be a save, so there's no save for it. It is not going to dodge.
It is a melee spell attack.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so you still have to roll to touch.
Yes. If I.
It is not. Don't roll a 1. Don't, please.
I did not roll a 1.
Okay. You make contact with the dummy. How much damage do you do?
I am casting it at 3rd level. So it is going to take 3d10 of damage. Wait, no. 3rd level, so it takes 5d10 of damage.
Roll your damage, sir.
Alright. That has only 25 points of damage.
25 is still more than the lightning did. So you see the dummy almost starts to implode on itself. You see it contort and crack as the inflict wound starts breaking it, and the whole dummy has almost a life reaction. You would imagine that this is what a living creature, I'm sure you've used this, so Mariposa is not surprised, other than the dummy seems to be reacting as any of your victims would when you have done this to them before. And it just kind of ends up in a crumbled heap on the floor.
Thank you, dear God. And he walks back.
After a moment, does anybody else have a reaction? Anybody say anything? You've brought a hush over the room.
I think Ripley's like, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I think Roan is just trying to determine, now which god did he mean?
Yeah, I think
After that
Ripley's
moment
just
of
like,
hush, Brady
Oh,
holds his hand out, and the dummy uncontorts back up to its normal form. Roan.
Alrighty then. And Roan is gonna rock up to the dummy. Seems a bit of a shame him just sitting there, but we might gawk at a sitting target. She's gonna take out her greatsword and just whole hog just slash. And am I allowed to take an extra attack if I have one,
If you have
or
it,
just
it's
the one?
one of your full attack rounds.
Cool. She'll slash twice with her greatsword.
And are you doing any type of paladin abilities on this?
She's going to also, with that, she'll call on a divine smite.
All right.
She'll reach out to her goddess and call on a divine smite.
Now I will ask you, this is going to be a little bit more than just touching, so I do need you to roll attack for both attacks.
Cool. Here we go. All right, so first one is a 14.
All right.
Hey, second one's a 24.
So the first one does land nicely right across the midsection, but the next one kind of hacks into the shoulder. And then as you call a divine smite down, I'm guessing on that second one,
Yeah.
describe what happens to the dummy, how your divine smite represents itself, and roll damage.
She sort of, right before the second one hits, she sort of closes her eyes, and right as it connects, her eyes open and it just sort of glows. Glows with this sort of almost iridescent pearlescent light. As she invokes Aphrodite.
Yeah, roll damage.
All right, and then I'm gonna roll the 2d8 that I add. Math.
And for your divine smite too.
Yes. No, that was for the divine
Oh, that was
smite.
for the divine smite. Okay.
Yeah. So that's 13 plus 4 is 17 plus 8 is math. 36, 26, 36? 26, I think.
17 plus 8, 25.
25. There we go. I can math.
It's all good. It's all
Math is the best part of D&D.
It's D&D with reactions.
I'm not a math
Or it's mathematics
gay.
with reactions.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
I'm not a math gay. I'm an English gay.
25 points of damage as not only does your pearlescence strike it, but you even see a bit of that almost godly intent beam down on it to add that extra damage. And the upper shoulders, the splinters are not even in existence anymore. They have evaporated as you cleave through, and the other part of it falls off right across from the shoulder to the midsection. One arm, one head are laying on the ground next to the dummy.
And she sends up a prayer song up to her deity.
Any reactions?
Oh, so you're pretty and strong. Cool. Cool.
What god do you worship?
I worship my goddess Aphrodite. Love and war, baby. And she winks specifically at Rhipley.
Uh-oh.
The tension increases in multiple directions.
Well, hopefully that doesn't get in the way on the battle.
So Brady, almost as an effort just to clean up the room, waves his hand. The statue goes up, starts to approach you. When all of you notice, because it's hard not to, a corner start to get exceptionally dark. And the candles flicker as that corner gets darker and darker. And suddenly, an attack comes from that darkness straight at the dummy. And Admiral Edwardo, please let us know what your attack is.
I sort of materializing from the shadow in all of my bedraggled ghost pirate glory, do a one-handed handspring, and then unnecessarily flourish into what is really just a regular rapier stab at the dummy.
Roll to hit.
22.
That definitely hits. Roll your damage.
That's gonna be an 8.
So with the 22, though, while it is not, obliterating the dummy as some have, all of you will note from your knowledge, all of you have had to fight before. You are not first levels. You are not newbies to this type of combat. All of you know that blade hit exactly where it would need to be a killing blow. So that blade is stuck right in the moment to go through ribs and deftly pierce the heart. And there's a bit of surprise on Brady's face as he turns and looks at the ghost pirate. So we do have a fourth.
If you'll have me.
Describe yourself to the others in the room.
Admiral Edwardo Serias has seen better days, and while he still believes that he is one of the finest pirates in all of the seas, and that he absolutely has a chance, despite being on now his 5th death, to win this rumble, is looking a little bedraggled and frankly quite dead, but he's here and he's fighting for it and he still believes.
Brady looks at you with a recognition. I do remember you. You fought to not come back when they tried to resurrect you, just so you'd get the chance someday to join us. I guess these thinned veils have allowed you to cross from the land of the dead. Welcome, champion.
Of all of my countless and delightful adventures, some of my favorite have been at this very tavern and arena, and I am overjoyed to be competing again.
Then I suggest all of you go back to your rooms. Rest. Prepare yourselves. Admiral, I believe your room has actually been prepared for you. And I shall see you on the night of the Rumble.
Yes, because Lady Destiny knows everything. Thanks, friends, so much for joining us for this Session 0. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope, as I said at the beginning, that it will inspire you to come out and cheer on one of these heroes to the championship. Game is going to be October 10th, live at the Roguelike Tavern in Burbank, California, or you can watch our live Twitch stream, and we have added the ability for folks watching through the Twitch stream to still impact the game. So please be a part of that, whether you're with us in person or watching online, and we will see you October 10th for Rumbleween Rises. Bye!